we had over 100 groups interested, and it's just a basic neighborhood strip center.
This episode of the Under the Table podcast is brought to you by Shrubs.me.
They say AI is taking everyone's jobs, and honestly, no one knows whose is safe. But here's the thing. When you own your audience, your content, and your brand, you don't wait for someone else to save you. You build your own future. Shrubs puts everything you create in one beautiful hub. More reach, more fans, more income. Shrubs.me. Your future, your rules. And when you get there, I'll be right there with you, helping you thrive and grow.
I'm seeing a lot of talk now about the going back to work, going back to the office, not just the province, not just other companies, but the trend is there, And so what happens is the job market gets competitive again. And all of a sudden now that's not an option where you can't say, well, they're offering me work from home. Yeah. Because they're not. And so now everyone else says, we don't need to offer work from home because they're not. And next thing you know, that'll be a trend. So I see a return to office work for the majority of businesses. That's just the reality of how businesses run smoothly and efficiently, right?
So another darling in our current horrible market is retail, especially grocery anchored retail and neighborhood strip centers and strip malls. These are, this is a market where it's really hard to find this stuff because there really hasn't been a lot built. It's mostly been resi that's been built over the past year. So again, you see 2021 retail being the darling of the market. Almost 700 transactions, 3.5 billion. It's dropped off a cliff like everything else, but we are still seeing a lot of, significant demand for this. And we can give you an example. This is something we sold at a 5.1 cap. We had over 100 groups interested. It's just a basic neighborhood strip center. And we've got another grocery anchored one for sale right now. It's the same thing, significant amount of buyers in the market. Here's another one we sold. This one was on Yonge Street, close to Lawrence. It's a good land play with income here. And again, sub 5 cap, more common in the sub $10 million range, but still significant demand for this type of product. Here's a larger transaction. That's a really good one where Trinity, they have a retail fund. They're buying this type of product and they believe they can see some growth in this property over the course of the next 5 years, but they bought this really as a stabilized asset. So it's, just sub 6 and large tenants, Food Basics, Tim Hortons, Walmart, something that someone's always going to be around. But again, if you look back at, how much transactions have happened year to date, it's 1.1 billion. We still will end up probably somewhere around this 2020, 2015 market. So not exactly that bad comparative to the rest of the market. Number of transactions, which is more indicative of, are they large deals that are happening or small deals happening? That'll end up somewhere around 300, which is maybe not as good as 2015, but it's really just more that there's larger deals happening. So it's not the end of the world. It's some of the larger strip centers are being sold, grocery anchors. There's still a lot of liquidity in that market. So something that the demand curve has kind of settled to. So one of the bright spots in the market, retail plazas.
I like what you said earlier about the like cap rates and stuff like that you're starting to see. Like they're starting to become more realistic now. Are you seeing that in retail as well? Like you're starting to say, like before people were saying, hey, there's a land play here, so I'm going to do a 3.5 cap, no big deal because in the future. But now they're like, no, I'm not banking on my land play to make this work for me. I need it to
be. There's less of that, which is really nice because, the income buyers, as we call them, IPP, so income producing properties, these buyers can actually go back to being normal. They can be the ones that are underwriting it regularly.
Don't have to worry about a developer coming in and blowing them out of the water, right?
Exactly. Now, with that said, there still is attraction to locations. And I mean, this is a good example of that. This is a good example of that.
I was going to say, most of these
Markham, it's a site that is not exactly huge, but close to Yonge and Lawrence. But
the corner.
This is indicative of more of a market deal, market cap rate, still a bit aggressive, but potentially some extra land here. But we're never going to get away from the development land market because everyone still knows eventually at some point there will be demand in the residential market, and there will be a way to take some of these markets and deal with the fact that they are going to be able to develop this, right? So the demand will be there at some point.